Hi, everyone. Welcome to Still Khmer, a podcast in which we discuss all things Khmer. Whether you're here from our social media, word of mouth, or from just searching Khmer on Spotify, unlikely, welcome.
And if you haven't had a chance to check out our trailer yet, I highly recommend listening to it either before or after this episode to get a sense of what our topics of discussion will look like. It's only a minute and a half long, but it packs a punch. Now, we'll take some time to introduce ourselves.
So I'll start first. My name is Bori. I was born and raised in Cambodia, and then I moved to the US, specifically Iowa City, when I was 13. So in September of 2012. Um, yeah, and then I'm gonna move it along to Tita.
Thank you, Bori. My name is Tita. I was also born and raised in Cambodia, as I like to say. Even though I came to the US when I was 9, I've been in Lowell, Massachusetts, and continue to live here still. So, Julie?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie. I was born and raised in the US, specifically Massachusetts, Lynn, Massachusetts. But I've been back to Cambodia a couple times to visit family.
Very nice. More times than I have. I've only visited once.
Julie, do you want to tell us how our paths crossed?
Yeah, so we all met in college at Harvard. And I was actually one of the co-founders of the Khmer Student Association there because there weren't very many Cambodian students at Harvard. And so I really missed the sense of community that I had with other Cambodian and Southeast Asian students back home in Lynn. So I founded the Khmer Student Association with my friend Anisha, and that's kind of how we all met.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, and now we're here doing this podcast together because we just love talking about all things Khmer. And we're starting this season off with a bang with some spooky tales in honor of Pchom Bun and the spirit of Halloween. So, without further ado, Julie, take it away.
Okay, so the first story that I'm going to share, which I think a lot of you will be familiar with, is about the app.
Ooh.
And disclaimer, have I'm a huge scaredy cat, so I try not to hear these stories. So I had to do some research in order to tell this. Okay, so the app is a woman who is able to detach her head from her body at night, and essentially her head disconnects from her body at the neck, and she floats around, flies around with just her heart and her stomach and intestines hanging from her head. And people will say that you can see her floating around in the darkness, and you'll usually see like a sort of light, a green or red light. And so she will fly around and look for blood to drink or raw flesh to eat. And usually, the app will prey on things that are already dead and eat their carcasses. Sometimes, if the app can't find these sources of food, she'll eat like excrement or something like that. And so, there actually is a belief. I think some people believe that you shouldn't leave your laundry hanging outside at night because the app will wipe her mouth on it and you'll get like blood and excrement on your laundry. My dad actually sent me a YouTube video of a monk talking about his experience with app. The monk talked about how he knew this woman who would come to his temple, and she was very dedicated to Buddhism and followed the tenets and everything like that. But it turns out that she was an app, and he said that he asked her a bit about her experience being an app. She wasn't aware when she had detached from her body. She had no awareness or memory of that time. And before it happened, she would have this sort of feeling of heaviness or pressure just underneath her belly button. So he said around maybe where your uterus is or something like that. And she would feel very tired, and then she would go to sleep. And after she fell asleep is when her head would detach from her body and she would go out in search of food. But later, when she returned to her body and her head reattached to the rest of her body, she wouldn't remember anything about what had happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So he even said that, like, so the app will fly around with the intestines hanging out and things like that. And when they need to, they can also tighten up their intestines to make them really small so that they can, like, travel more effectively and things like that.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah. Or, like, if they need to, like, because they have to protect their intestines, I think, is, like,
Oh.
something that's important to them as app. Um, because I think one of the ways that you can actually protect your home from app is if you have, like, spiky plants or, like, a spiky fence around your house. They're afraid to get their intestines stuck in that, so they'll avoid your house. Some people also believe that if you have a cut at night, the app might come to find you to drink your blood.
Fascinating.
Mhm. And I think there's a
Wow.
lot of different beliefs about what exactly makes people become apt. I think some people believe that it could be due to bad karma from a previous life, or it could be someone who has dabbled in black magic, and this is their fate in exchange for that.
I see.
And in addition, the app is very protective of the body that they have left behind at night because they need the body to be in place so that they can return to it and live their regular life in the daytime, because in the daytime they just seem like a normal person and you won't be able to tell necessarily that they're an app. So they, after they leave their body, apparently they hide it somewhere so people can't find it, so that they're able to return to it and rejoin it later when they're done feeding. And so I think one of the ways that you can get rid of an app is if you destroy the body before they're able to return to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would that just leave the head like floating somewhere?
Yeah, because if the head is unable to reattach to the body, they just die a horrible, painful death.
Oh, that's sad.
Or they'll, if they can't find their body, they might try to rejoin another body, but if it's the wrong body, then they also die a horrible, painful death.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like try not to be scared of it. Like I've heard the story growing up. I try not to think about it just because lived in the city, and people were like, you don't see them like in the city. Like it's only like a countryside thing." So I tried to like lean into that belief.
Mhm.
Um and then Tina, you can like talk about your saliva thing and then I can share my conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay. So the thing is, I really want to hear your conspiracy theory if it is what I think it is. But like, I guess one of the ways that you can become an app from an existing app is if like you come in contact with their saliva, which like in the first place, like, do you necessarily want to like swallow someone's saliva? Like, in what instance would that happen? I don't know. Like, would they have to purposefully inject their saliva into you? Like, what?
I think I've heard of that too, and my conspiracy is just that like people. Well, I don't think it's true, but I don't come for me. I just this is personally like what I believe. I just think that elders just tell this story, so then like we'll be like careful with our eating utensils when we go out to eat. Just because like when I was growing up in Cambodia, I don't know if this is the case anymore. They're they use like reusable eating utensils, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're always like in a cup, and you have to like ask for hot water to like wash it and like make it sterilize it or whatever. And
Mm.
so I think maybe for me, I'm trying not to think too much about it. And so for me, I'm like, oh, maybe they're just telling this story. So then, like, we'll be careful without eating utensils.
I feel like that's a reasonable belief. It does not sound like a conspiracy theory. What is a conspiracy theory is the fact that I think, like, isn't it so, like, misogynistic that all apps are women? And, like, we're taught to, like, be grossed out by them and, like, to fear them. And in a way, it, like, parallels the history of, like, burning the witches and just, like, accusing women of,
Mm-hmm.
doing black magic and stuff. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny because Julie is gonna share another story, and I'm gonna share another story that's all like involve women.
Really?
I was gonna say about your conspiracy theory, like, I'm not sure because I'm actually not sure how far back this story has been told.
Mhm.
So I think it kind of makes sense, but I don't know if the story like came before the restaurant, you know?
Or maybe it's just like stranger danger. Don't eat your I
I
don't
was
know.
thinking
I'm
Don't
really
kiss your
I'm
friend.
trying to stretch this out.
I was less focused on the saliva. I feel like it's more like don't go out at night. Clean your
Yeah.
wounds.
Oh, that makes sense.
Stop hanging your
Also,
laundry
this
out
is
at night.
Yes.
that's true. Like don't be lazy, pull
Mhm.
it before but I was also thinking about the green light thing.
Yeah.
I have never heard that it was like red light. It's always green in the
Mm.
stories that was told
Uh-huh.
to me. But when I read like The Great Gatsby for the first time, and then Nick talk about the green
Oh my
light,
gosh.
and I was like, "Sir, what are you talking about?" And so that was my thought. But at that time, when I read The Great Gatsby, I'd only been in the U.S. for like 2-3 years.
Wait, so you read The
So
Great Gatsby and thought they were talking about an app? Like,
the green light
yeah,
initially, I was like, oh my god, and then like when we talked about it, it's like symbolism for like greed and money and
I
whatever.
see. Okay.
Nothing
I like your
nothing related.
interpretation, Bori.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
sorry, this is how you know I was like very Cambodian
Fresh
when
off
I
the
read The
boat.
Great Gatsby
No.
fresh off the boat.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
So the next story that I have for everyone is the story of Neang Neath. So Neang Neath was married to a man named Luong, and they were pregnant with their first child, and Luong had to go away to a different area to do business with his friends and make money in order to bring the money back for his family and provide for his family. So they were very in love, and he left and she was pregnant, and they were hoping that he would be able to return in time for the child's birth. However, unfortunately, that was not possible, and he was gone for quite a long time. And then one day, Neang Niet gave birth, but it was very gruesome and painful. And a bunch of people from the village came to help her with her childbirth, but it wasn't enough. She wasn't able to give birth to the child, and she bled so much that she died. And her husband doesn't know this, he's still away. So the villagers held a funeral for her. They prayed for her and buried her. And then eventually, her husband came back. But something strange happened. He went back to his home and he found his wife waiting for him with their baby. They missed each other so much, they embraced, and they began their life together again. But all the villagers saw this happening and they thought it was very strange because she was dead. And so some of the villagers tried to inform the husband about this, but he didn't really believe them at first. He actually had this special, I think, necklace or amulet that a monk gave to him along with instructions for him to put some kabao on his heels, so like a special paste on his heels, and walk around his house 3 times, and then he'll be able to see a ghost if there is one. And so what he saw was that actually his home was in ruins, and his wife was actually a ghost who had the power to extend her arms very long in order to rock the baby to sleep. And he was horrified. And so he realized that the other villagers were telling him the truth about his wife's death. And so he went to the temple and sought help from the monks there. And at this time, Neang Neath came to the temple as well. And she had become like the size of a giant. And she was holding the baby. And she was asking him to come home with her and continue to live with her. And he was extremely terrified. And the villagers were trying to get rid of her vengeful ghost. They had a ghostbuster go to her grave and try to stab her body in order to make sure she was dead. But she actually possessed him and then caused him to stab himself to death. But then a monk was able to come to her grave and speak gently to her and ask her to have a conversation with him. And it was at that point that she was able to have like a heart to heart discussion with her husband. And she had a lot of regrets about how she died while he was away. And they were looking forward to starting a family together. So she apologized for not being able to look after him anymore. And eventually she accepted that she was dead and that she had to leave him. So her ghost left.
Oh, I love how like all like Khmer stories or Khmer movies like end very peacefully, but like very sad. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think like there's just different versions of Neang Neath being told from time to time, but the version that Julie shared is like the common factors that all the different versions share. I remember like the story that was told to me was that like she was able to stretch her arm to pick up cooking utensils because she was like cooking something for her husband, and then she dropped like a knife or like a fork or something, and then she like stretched her arm to like pick it up. And that was like really vivid for me as a child. But Tida, like, what was the version of the story that you've heard of?
Yeah, I don't know if I like actually watched this in like a movie sequence or if people were telling it to me like so many times my imagination became vivid. But I
Mm.
remember like, at the start of the story or at the start of the movie, she was like weaving something and then like the spindle dropped and she's like on the second floor window or like on the balcony or something. So she stretched her hand down to get the spindle and a villager boy, like a kid saw it and like freaked out, ran home and told his
Oh my
parents, and that was
gosh.
like the start of the story. Yeah, I know. Imagine seeing that as a
Wow.
kid. You'd be traumatized for life.
Yeah.
Right. I also like think that the story is actually kind of sad, and
Yeah.
it's like a love story,
Hmm.
but I think with all like the sound, like the background noises, the songs, like the background music, I remember like being really terrified of the story.
Hmm.
But I think now that I'm like older, I can like see past like the jump scares and the music and just be like, oh, it's like fundamentally maybe like a love story, or like a devoted wife
Yeah.
Yeah,
story.
I agree.
But I don't know like what is the moral of that story? I just don't know because it's also really popular, so it must have like struck like a chord with a lot of people.
I guess
Um,
maybe there's not necessarily a moral, but in the olden days, a lot more women died in childbirth. So I guess that's like why it struck such a chord with people. And people love the stories about devoted husbands and wives too. So,
Yeah. Well, maybe if I were like to look at it, in a more optimistic light, mm, yes, devoted husband, devoted wife to her husband, but also like how the villagers like treated her wasn't like the kindest. They sort of like ostracized her, and that approach obviously didn't work. It just like ended up in more people dying. And
yeah.
the approach that did end up working was like the monk understanding her and like guiding her in a gentler way.
Yeah.
Not to excuse anything she did as a spirit, because she did like kill a lot of villagers. Just saying like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be treating people in not kind ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so kind of just continuing this theme of talking about popular Khmer ghost story, I want to talk about banana tree ghost story. And before I jumped into like my personal anecdote, I just want to briefly talk about what the ghost story is.
Mhm.
So basically, I it's been a long time, but what I can remember from that story is that like um there's a husband and a wife, and one time when the husband is away, and I think the wife was like away too, but like not away for work or anything like that. I think she was like going to the market or something. So like all the doors are locked except one window where there's like the banana tree was growing nearby, right,
Mhm.
like right next to that open window. And then when the wife came back from the market, she was killed by someone. And then she became a ghost. She's like a very dutiful wife, and so she was kind of like nervous about making sure the house is like ready and like clean and stuff for her husband to come back. So her ghost climb up the tree, the banana tree, to go inside the house through that open window. And so then she kind of Ninid, she kind of pretended that everything was fine. It was kind of like playing pretend with her husband. Her husband didn't know that she was a ghost, but like he grew suspicious of the fact, like um, the longer it goes on. I'm gonna end the story right here because I think it's like enough context for me to then jump in and talk about my personal story. So I grew up in the capital city, but we have like family members living just right outside of the city. Um, it's called like Brekpnau, and our one of our relatives' house, she has a banana tree right outside of one of her windows. So I think I was like 5 or 6 when I went to visit her. And I think like my cousins and stuff, they were way older. They're like in their late teens, early 20s, and they were trying to scare me. And so they made me watch the movie with them. And I think that's why like I'm sorry that I don't remember
You like
the
blocked it
ending of the
out.
story. I blocked it out. But the reason why I remember the beginning of the movie so vividly was because their mom's house has that banana tree right next to the window. And then when we had a sleepover right after we watched that movie, they're like, be careful, don't look at the tree outside, she's gonna climb in. And then like that's how I remember the story so vividly, like that first part of the movie. And I think after that I just told my family to not go there for like sleepovers anymore. We would just go and then do like a day trip and come back home. um, so yeah, I actually have never seen ghosts or like see anything suspicious, but that's also because like I never dared look at the tree at night just in case I see something. But I
Wow.
have like no ghost stories from that trees to write home about. But that's one story I want to share.
Mhm. Can I ask if it's like any banana tree or like a specific banana tree? Because I actually like didn't know about the story until I asked my mom. So apparently there is like a specific tree, like namjachvia.
What did your mom
Like
say?
that, like
Yes, there.
don't plant like a namjachvia like outside your window. Because like people in Cambodia, like plenty of them have banana trees outside of their houses, like presumably, banana trees near their windows, and they don't get haunted. But the one that you would want to avoid is like jachvia.
Yeah, she's
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
I think even though we say like banana tree ghost, like the English translation, I think
Mhm.
Mhm.
the Khmer story is like Khmer Niang Chek. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense. Okay. What even is a church for you? I don't know.
Oh, I was gonna ask you.
I don't know, but we can look it up and then put the link down below. And everything will be linked down below, including like Julie's stories and the movies and whatnot.
Hmm.
Anything
Yeah,
will be
resources.
linked,
Yep.
resources. All right. Any thoughts before I move on to the next
Um,
story?
I was gonna say it's interesting. Honestly, I don't know a lot of these ghost stories because I prohibited my parents from telling them to me. Um, but I think it's interesting that so many of them have this like dutiful wife character who keeps trying to like play pretend with her husband and that she's still alive and taking care of him. Like, I don't know what to make of it.
I agree. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really know what to say. I mean, like olden Cambodian times, women are like expected to be subservient to their husbands and like to serve him. So is part of it like you're supposed to be dutiful even after you die, or is it like it's like so ingrained in her and her
Yeah.
like her
Mm.
her will or something that like it still persists even after she dies?
Yeah, or I guess it could be love, or like, does she know that she's dead?
Mm.
That's interesting.
Like maybe she doesn't fully accept it.
Oh,
Yeah, like
So
these, I
she
think,
keeps living. Yeah.
yeah, because I think when I was growing up, I always got like this story with Neang Neath like confused because of how
Hmm.
similar they were. And I think again, like I don't remember the ending of the story, but if someone were to tell me that like it ended with her like feeling accepted and then she was able to like let go and like go peacefully, I would believe them 100%.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Interesting.
is all is this just like another story kind of like Ninian? Are all these stories just kind of sending Buddha's messages to the mass?
Maybe. I guess it's like,
Peace.
yeah, like the fact that you need peace and acceptance to move on after you've died or something like
There
that.
we go. We found the
Yeah.
take home.
It makes sense. It sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're young, you don't listen, you don't like really think about the deeper meaning. You just like get scared
Mhm.
of the
To be
ghost.
Yeah.
honest, I thought it was I had like heard about the banana tree ghost, but I didn't know the story. And I thought it was gonna be scary. And we were right. There's a reason why we all thought that this story was actually supposed to be scarier, and that's because it is. It's a lot scarier than this. The general themes are right. It starts out sort of similar to the story of Neang Neath. In the story, the husband has to go away to labor elsewhere to earn money to support his family. But in this story, cholera sweeps through his village and the surrounding villages. So while he's away, his wife and children die. This was a very scary time for all of the surrounding villages because everyone was afraid that their village was going to be next, that their family was going to be next. So the husband returns to his village, and on his journey home, he runs into someone who tells him, "You shouldn't go back. A lot of people in your village got sick, and many people died. We don't know if your wife or your children are still alive or not, but you shouldn't go there." He missed his wife and his children so much. He decided to go back anyway and ignore all of the warnings that he heard. But he did feel some doubt because it was so quiet. So he went to his house and he found his wife, and they were so happy to see each other. She hurried to set a fire in order to cook food for her husband. And one strange thing happened. She asked him not to sleep in the bedroom, not to even enter the bedroom, and asked him to sleep outside instead. He noticed a really unpleasant smell coming from the bedroom. He got really curious. He crept into the bedroom, where he found the decaying corpses of his wife and children. Suddenly, he felt panic. He asked her to hurry and cook the rice because he was really hungry. and said that he was going to go use the bathroom outside. He poked a hole in a clay pot of water to mimic the sound of urinating, and then he made his way to the nearest temple, where there was a monk who was good at protecting people from evil spirits. The ghost started to get suspicious when she heard her husband urinating for so long, and then she saw him running away and chased after him. He was able to make it to the temple and gain the monk's protection, but the wife lingered outside. She was desperate to have her husband back. She couldn't go inside the temple because of the monk's magical protection. However, as she paced back and forth, trying to figure out how she could get to her husband, she saw a large banana tree whose leaves bowed into the window of the temple. Somehow, she was able to get around the powerful protection. So she climbed up the banana tree and entered the temple through the banana tree's branch. Then she broke her husband's neck.
Okay. And then kind of segue into another story. It's not like popular and it's not a ghost story per se. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me. But when I was growing up, I was I was like an active child, as I think many children are. And I really like playing outside. And so I would always want to like stay out and about, like even when it was like the sun was setting, going into nighttime. And I think one time I really wanted to go meet my friend outside of my house because we had planned to exchange like marbles and wanted to go meet him. And then I told my family about it. And I think, I don't remember who exactly, but someone in my family told me the story. And she was like, do not go out because there's this guy, we call him Bamat Bamong. And if you go out, he's gonna like take you and take your Bamat. And Bamat is just, sorry, I say it in Phnom Penh accent, I guess. It's Bamat, gallbladder. Okay. So then, wait, sorry. When I say Bamat, like, was it too loud? That's why Tida was like,
No, it was the Phnom Penh accent part.
oh my
Oh,
God. Wait, wait, I'm confused.
No,
Wait, what is ew?
I don't believe in there being a Phnom Penh accent. I just think it's like
I don't believe it
okay.
either, but I'm scared someone is gonna come for me and say like, why does she say Bamat like that?
Then they're just wrong.
I think a lot of people say Bamat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm
I was
sorry.
like trying to be nice and be like Promat. Whatever.
So proper.
And so that story just like deterred me from ever going out. And I think to this day, I'm still scared. I like believe that there's this strange man that would like take specifically children, not like older people, just like specifically children's Bamat. And who knows what he's gonna do with it. But yeah, I never went to meet up with my friend to exchange marbles.
Oh my God.
That's that's the story of like Bamat Bamong.
How does he remove the gallbladder? I wonder.
They never went that deep.
Do you survive? I have so many questions.
They never covered that part of it.
And like, I don't know.
Just like
I
so
wanna know more.
gullible. Like the fact that like I didn't even ask. I think children, you know how they're like, oh my God, children are annoying. They always ask why. But I think me as a Cambodian kid, I just didn't ask why. I just like, okay, I believe you.
The med student in me is like, I think you could survive without your gallbladder. You just
gosh.
wouldn't be able to absorb fat.
Julie out here like single-handedly wrecking these tales. She's like, that's not
I don't
even
know.
medically accurate.
I think no, I'm just wondering, like, what would the consequence be if you had gone out to exchange marbles?
I
You
don't
would just
know.
have like fat malabsorption for the rest of your life.
Not that scary.
Well, it's probably really uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. What I
It's
think,
so
sorry,
I know.
specific.
sorry. Like the reason why I also believed in it too was because um like I grew up around like businesses and they also
Mhm.
closed like by 5, 6 p.m. When it's
Mhm.
getting dark, they started to close up. And the business right next to our house, I could see like where the like their storage area, and it was dark when she finished like telling my relative finished telling me the story, and I saw like a man, like a tall man. It's just like see his outline, and she's like, yeah, like see him, like that's
Ah!
he's like a matamong, right?
Oh my
And then
God.
I was like, but I was like, wait, but I could just like not go and wait until he leaves. And she's like, you never know, he can just come and go. And then the next second I like look out to that storage area where the guy was at, he was just like disappeared. And so I think that added to the story of like
Oh
why I
my
believed it.
gosh.
And now that I think about it, I think he was just probably like the business owner's son or something. And
Some
then
poor
like,
village man.
yeah.
Poor
So
city man.
That is true. Yes, sorry, I forgot. Wait, Bori. Um, I did not like really believe my mom when she said this because I didn't know this when I was growing up. But apparently, like some Khmer people tell their children to be wary of like noontime, like 12 p.m., like ra ngay nữa, like midday, because some ghosts like to
Oh.
come out and play during that time. And I wonder if it's like connected with like the Pumapamong thing, because like in the middle of the day, like would you expect there to be a ghost? I don't know.
Oh my god, I hate
Wait,
that.
why do you
mm,
Now that's
what?
scary.
Really? In the middle of the
wait,
day?
actually, do wait,
That's like
can you
even
tell
more
us more?
sinister.
Yeah, well,
Wait,
can I just like dive into my stories and then we can like interpret
yeah.
it? Okay. I'll go like one by one because there are a couple, but they like took place at the same place, took place at the same house. So there is a woman that I know who's sort of like a ghost magnet. Like she just sees spirits wherever she goes. And when she was younger, she grew up at this house called like the holiday, like a holiday house. I don't know if it was named that way after like the Holiday Inn or whatever, but this is like post Khmer Rouge, so people are just living in other people's houses. One day she like dreams of a king living in her kitchen, like so odd, right? Like apparently there's a palace in her kitchen and the king is living in that palace. And she's like really curious about why he's in her kitchen. Um and the reason why she knows it was a king was because he was accompanied by these palace guards, Saina, which you might know. And then, yeah, that was just the dream. Like she woke up and went about her day. And she says that the location of her apartment might have been some sort of like palace in the past, but she's not sure because the spirits that haunted her at this house seemed like they were royalty. Like she saw
Oh my
bags of
gosh.
treasure. I'll tell the story of like the boat people in a bit, and like she saw a golden ring that like scuttered away. So yeah, this is like just like during like in the middle of the day, like you wouldn't really expect there, to be like a ghost or someone, like stop to like explain your dream in that way. So yeah, discuss.
Wow.
Well, my first question is like when she said that she dreamed of a king, like was it the current king at the time or was it just kind of like an idea of a
I
king?
think an idea of a king.
Okay.
I know.
That's still creepy though.
That's really interesting. I want to like investigate
So this is the thing.
that
This
land.
is the thing. I don't know what it was in the past, but currently it's a hotel. They knocked down that holiday house, which is when I say house, you think of a house, but it's actually like a huge apartment complex. And there are twin
Okay.
complexes. So I guess on like either side of the road, one was knocked down to build a hotel, and the other one like is still standing. The one that knocked down was like the house that she lived in when she was a child. So like people bought it to develop it. And when the
Mm-hmm.
hotel was built, every room could be occupied except for the room that she lived in.
No.
Wait, wait, sorry. Was this like in specific province or was it like in Phnom
It's
Penh?
in Bun, yeah, like Phnom Penh. Um, I'll have to ask the lady about like where
Oh my
specifically, but
goodness.
yeah, like the room was haunted, to put it like straight.
Mhm.
Like people could not sleep in the room, like guests would come in, and like
Wow.
throughout the night they would be haunted. Like there would just be sounds, things flying around the
Mm.
room. Um like they had like Chinese visitors who came
Flying
in.
around the
Yeah,
room.
like Chinese visitors who came in, like just not knowing the history of the land or whatever, stayed in that room and then just like ran out at like 2 a.m.
Oh
Because
my
like they had a cell phone
gosh.
charger fly at them. Why am I laughing? I'm so cursed.
That's
No, this reminds me of like a story. I didn't experience it myself, but someone said like when I visited like Battambang, people like there's one hotel near the market area where like it's well known to not stay at like specific room because like of
Mhm.
something that happened and like it's haunted.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's also like noontime or like nighttime. So thank you for reviving that story back in my memory. But yeah, no, I think there's something about noontime and nighttime.
Yeah. 12
Wow.
noon or 12 midnight, something about those times. Um, but yeah, is there like anything else you wanted to say? Because there are like two more stories that I think like are very quick and I can share and are not like that scary. I don't know. They just like leave you wondering and leave me
Wait.
wondering.
Um, could you share like do you know any more details of her experience with those ghosts? Like did they do anything to her?
No, they would just like make themselves appear. And she's like
Oh my
never been
gosh.
scared of ghosts. Um, she's seen
Wow.
ghosts probably like 2 dozen times in her life. Like she's never been afraid. So you know, quite remarkable because I am a scaredy cat. I don't think I've ever seen like a proper ghost, except for like by the cemetery, but that's of my own fault. But like, yeah, it's just yeah, like ghosts would appear. But I think like the interesting things that she told me was when she was younger, you know, adolescent, around 12 or 13, she was helping her mom out with household chores. So just, you know, in the kitchen doing her usual thing, chopping vegetables. And she hears a loud boom in the sky. And you wouldn't really expect to hear a boom coming from the sky. And she's like wondering what it is. And she says in that moment, it felt like her soul was being shocked or awoken. Like midnight like to look at the kitchen window. So she quickly got up, padded over to the kitchen window, and she sees a boat in the sky. And on the boat, this is in the middle of the day, like she's not dreaming. There are two women and two men on this boat, all dressed in black. And some were rowing, and some were at the front and the end of the boat, sort of like cheering on the rowers. If you're familiar with like Banumtuk, like the water festival, it looks like that, but people are dressed in black. Um, but yeah, imagery is like very similar. And as the boat was being rowed, she like followed it until it was, you know, traversing the sky and almost out of sight. When the boat reached a tree, Nampo, at the end of the sky, it flew around the tree and just disappeared. And then the tree itself also disappeared. And her mom, who is still in the kitchen because she was helping her mom out, did not see or hear, you know, this initial boom or like any of this boat imagery in the sky. So her mom walks over and like sees her daughter just standing like pluk, sort of like soul not in
Mm.
her body. She like taps her on the shoulder, and this is like, oh, that's when she felt like her soul sort of like coming back into her body, like being nah a second time. And like comes back to reality. And she asked her mom, like, Ma, like, did you see that? Did you hear that? I heard a loud boom and saw a boat in the sky. And her mom just like understandably was in disbelief, but like quickly shut that down. She was like, what boat? Are you crazy? It's the middle of the day. Go back to chopping. And she was like, that was the most dismissive response you could like give a child who saw something in like bright daylight. So even to this day, she still wonders, like, did her mom know something about the boat? Did her mom know something about like, you know, the history of that land, and like if you see something you shouldn't say it. So she just took one
Oh,
last look at the window and she left.
Mm.
wow.
I have follow-up questions, but
Yes.
also kind of like initial feelings about the story.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like her mom's response is like pretty much standard parents'
Yep.
response in Cambodia,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of grateful for it just because, like, I don't know, I think in America, we're really obsessed with like, well, we're not really obsessed. I think like we know more about like mental illness and stuff like that. And then because of that, maybe we're like too quick to diagnose someone or whatever. And so, like, I'm glad that her mom's just kind of like, oh, you're crazy, done. End of conversation. And like not try to slap like a label on her kid and like be like, oh my gosh, like whatever.
You need a
So that
month.
was like my,
Like that's what some
yeah,
people
need a month.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's like I don't know. I feel like it's fine. It's kind of like not that her mom was just kind of like whatever about it. So I'm kind of grateful for that. Like I hate when people just like quickly slap a label of some on someone because like they experience something that
Different.
like they cannot comprehend.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then the second thing is just that like I think it's pretty common experience, and maybe that's why Cambodians like believe in spirits and like ghosts.
I agree. No, yeah, I really like your take on it because to me it doesn't feel scary. It just is like one more piece of evidence that like our land is like so old and so sacred. Like it harbors things that we don't understand and don't fit neatly into a ghost label or, you know, a traditional story label. So yeah.
Yeah. I have a
Mhm.
question. Is Nampo the one that has like a lot of like beliefs around
I have no
it?
idea what a nampo
Or
is.
is it
What is
okay?
it? I don't know. I say it so
I
comfortably. I should know what it is.
I'm not sure. Like that's why I'm asking because I don't remember all the tree
I'm
names.
dead.
I don't remember what it looks like either, but I like Dampo is always in these stories for some
Yeah,
reason.
that's what I was thinking. It sounds like sort of familiar. And then I actually took a walk in a cemetery yesterday with my friend, which sounds creepy. But there's like a local cemetery that's known for being like very beautiful and peaceful and calming. And it actually is. It's not scary. But there's like a chapel there. And we actually like crashed this tour that was going on. And the person giving the tour was like describing the art in the chapel. And like on both sides, like each wall, there's like a really big mural made out of like glass, I think. And the story that was like being portrayed on both sides was like people rowing a boat, and it like represents the journey of life towards death.
Oh.
Oh,
Interesting. Why did I not think of that?
I
yeah.
don't know. It's so I was like, wow, what a coincidence.
Also, while we're here, sorry, is there like background noise for you? Sort of like a microphone being extra sensitive because I hear a lot of noise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like that before though.
Bori, do you think it's you if both
Is it your hair?
Julie and I?
Is it my hair?
No, I'll unplug and
Oh, it
replug.
might be Julie. Nope. Nope, it's not Julie.
I can't hear you anymore.
No, it was still here when you disappeared, Julie.
I hate that.
I'll try
Is it
unplugging.
mine then? Is it
Do you want
mine
to try
maybe?
unplugging and then replugging?
It's just my head.
Oh, it was
Oh, it
Bori.
was. It was.
It's you.
Oh my god, I was getting scared.
Is it me?
Oh, but it's
Yeah, it
gone
was.
now.
Oh my god,
It's
Bori, you scared
gone now.
me.
Guys, what
I
if
was
those ghost
scared. No,
stories?
shut up.
It's the
No.
middle of the day. Oh, that's not any consolation. I'm dead.
Ma'am, you just told the middle of the day story, so
Okay.
thank you.
Wow.
I don't like this.
Wait, what happened? How did it
I'm
happen?
out.
Because usually I don't have this
It just
problem.
like
I'm scared.
progressed.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. It just like at first
Goodbye.
it wasn't there and then it just progressed more and more. So I don't know if like your
I'm gonna go
earphones.
pray after
Okay,
this.
good idea. I think it's like maybe like your ear, are they old or did they get
No, it's the
waterlogged?
same. No, it's the same
Oh,
one, and I
interesting.
usually just leave it on the
Oh,
table.
wow.
I think it's better not to think about it or ask questions.
Got it.
Okay, so I'll repeat what I said earlier about so maybe like this lady, like she was just witnessing someone passing.
Uh,
Oh, it would be helpful if we knew about Nampo.
nope. Oh,
Oh,
tree.
it's a Bodhi tree.
It's a what?
A Bodhi tree.
What's a
What
I
does
don't
Bodhi
know
that
how to
look
tree?
like?
pronounce it. Um, it's a sacred fig tree. It's like super sacred for Buddhism.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's in every
Oh,
story.
Yeah.
interesting.
It's the type of tree that the Buddha sat under.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's not like, scary ghost or whatever. It's like spiritual passage of
Yeah.
life onto the next realm.
Wow. It all checks out.
Yeah. Oh my God, we just fact checked a ghost story or a scary story. This is amazing.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
very interesting because the chapel that I
Mhm.
visited, like the art was taken from like Jewish and Christian tradition.
Okay.
So the fact that it's all coming together.
Yeah, just all aligns in the end. Wow.
Wow.
Well, Bori, you were saying that, you felt it was good that this lady's mom was sort of, dismissive of her and like didn't really like believe her. I will tell you that she was redeemed, not in relation to this story, but another one. So, you know, little kid, she was mopping. Same lady, mopping and like felt tired. So she lay down on the floor of the same holiday house. Wow, this house was haunted. What is this? And like she's like lying down on the floor in front of the basement entrance. She called it transe. I'm sure that's from
Mm.
French somewhere, but it's the basement, right? And then sitting
Mhm.
there at the entrance is a mysterious black bag. She had never seen this bag before. It's like about the size of a medium grocery bag or a liquor store bag, but just cloth. And she felt like, you know, this was something that she wanted to take, but that she shouldn't take. So she didn't try to touch it. She left it there. When her mom comes home from work, she drags her mom to the location of the bag, but it had already disappeared. A few days later, a hole appears in the wall around the same place that she was mopping at. So she again, like, sort of crouches down, looks at the hole, and she's like, "Is this black bag going to appear again?" But it's not. It's a golden ring. If you're familiar with like a wedding ring, like the gold band, that's what was lying, at this small hole in the wall. And this time she feels like, okay, it's tempting me twice now. I should probably try to get it. So she takes her pointer finger and like stretches it so she can like hook it in the ring. But each time she stretches, it just is like just out of reach. And she tries harder, but the ring keeps scooting away. And the harder she tries, the further it runs away. So sometime later, her mom decides to sell the house because, as I mentioned, it was being, redeveloped into a hotel, and the whole apartment complex was being sold. This included the school called Alliance Française. If someone is familiar with that area, please tell me where it is. But yeah, they like inevitably had to move because this whole complex was being sold. They got some cash out of it, so they built the house. Like they built a house in Bun, somewhere near there. Um, and when they moved out, they moved all of their belongings out. And her mom went back upstairs to this apartment to take one last look. She could have been checking for like any forgotten belongings or was simply like nostalgic before, the family had to leave their home. But at this time, the black bag that I was mentioning before made itself appear in front of her, the mom. So the mom then realized that everything that her daughter had been telling about this holiday house was the truth. And so the mom is like afraid, like she runs down to get her brother, who at the time like didn't live with them but came over to help them move. And her brother happens to be a kru, or like he had kukan, like very
Mhm.
spiritually connected. Like I guess in English you could say he was a fortune teller, but that doesn't even cover the
Mhm.
extent of it. He comes
Yeah.
up
Like,
to take a look at this black bag, and after taking a look at it, he goes outside on the balcony, lights a single cigarette, takes a whiff, and then just looks up at the sky. And he says, "No, you shouldn't take it. If you take it, a spirit will follow you wherever you go."
wow.
Ta-da!
So the bag was there for a long time this time.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
and like she when she brought this like the brother who again like very spiritual, like
yeah.
he could see the bag as well. I think this time
Wow.
it really wanted to go with them. And like all of this
Yeah, that
treasure,
makes
yeah, all of
sense.
this treasure that was like being shown to the family, like it really wanted to follow them out, whether for good or for bad, but I'm glad they didn't
Wow.
take it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel very cold now.
No, Julie.
I don't know, Tina. Like the story sounded so familiar,
Really?
but like not that like I've heard specifically all like the same details, but it sounds like something I've heard before, like
Mhm.
growing up in Cambodia. So I'm not too like spooked because I was like, I've heard the story before.
Yeah.
Um, so which goes back to like what you said about how like the land is old, the land is sacred, and so just because people like see these things, maybe they're not mentally ill, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like they actually see, like there's nothing wrong with them. They actually saw these things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I mean, like, it happens so often, so many people see things, and again, they don't all have to be, like, ghost stories, like, sometimes it's, like, stuff that like this that really, like, freaks you out, um, just, like, that have no explanation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Wow.
also wanted to say like I really respect like Guru, like and I think just like saying fortune teller, like you said, like it doesn't even begin to describe them
Mhm.
because like I feel like fortune teller kind of cheapens the things that they do
Yeah.
and the power that they
Yeah.
hold. I don't know if we even have like an equivalent in
I was
English.
thinking like a shaman.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
shaman, medium,
shaman.
or, like, dark magic practicer, like, none of those labels, I guess, like, encompasses what a guru is. Because like, in essence, it's a
Yeah.
teacher, like, someone who explains things to you, and can help you
Right.
with things and, like, look into the future, look into the meaning of things, and I don't think there is an equivalent in English.
And like grew, it's not like, oh, you want to learn the
The dark arts.
practices and then you can
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like no, like the spirits have to choose you. Like
Yeah.
I only know about this
Yeah.
recently because my great aunt's friend, like some spirit like chose her, and then she like finally accepted it,
Mhm.
and so now she's like learning how to be like grew,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
But you have, so I don't know, like I feel like weird talking about people, especially in the West, like people in the West about this, because they're like, oh my god, like whatever. But
Yeah.
I believe in it. I believe in them and their powers.
Yeah, me too.
And also, I wonder if this lady, if she were in Cambodia, especially during like Pjom season,
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah.
when the veil is really thin. I wonder like if
Oh
she
my
would see other
goodness.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, according to what she says, like she has seen other things, but she doesn't find them scary. And I think in a way, like her spirit is not really tethered to this world. Like it sort of traverses
Mm,
between, the spiritual realm and this realm, and that's why she can see both things. And she's been told that if she put her mind to it, she could become like a very powerful guru, like yeah, like
yeah, I was
a
gonna
spirit
say.
could,
Wow.
yeah, like a
Wow.
spirit could enter her and she would do a really good job, but she's just not
I,
interested.
I was gonna
Wow.
say, yeah, I was gonna say.
Hmm.
Like she sounded like someone who like that became crew,
Yeah.
like crew. group. I'm so
It's
tired.
mixing two languages.
Yeah, but
Phonetics.
phonetics. But anyway, someone like yeah, someone who has experience with the spirits, like they would have the ability to just like see ghosts
Yeah.
and spirits and things that most people don't really witness on a daily basis.
Mhm.
I actually find this way scarier than the other ghost
Really?
stories we told. Like, this is the scariest thing.
What?
Wait, what was that booming
That
noise?
was me
I'm
hitting my
sorry.
mic. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No! I had something to say, but I got distracted by the
I'm
boom. So.
sorry. Lots of booms today.
You said like you're like scared. Like it's a lot scarier. Why is it a lot
Yeah, why is
scarier?
it
Is it
scary?
because it's like more realistic?
Yeah, it's like, it just seems closer to something that could happen to you.
Hmm.
And I'm very scared of this kind of stuff, and I don't like the idea that, like, it could be real.
Yeah, I agree in a way. Like ghosts as like an idea really scare me. um
Mm-hmm.
but like these things, if they were to happen, I think I'd be scared in that I wouldn't know what to do. Like if I just saw a ring in a hole in the wall, like what do I do with that? Like it doesn't fit.
I would not touch it. I know that's what I would do. I would go away from it.
I see. Thank you. Advice taken.
What if Julie say like you see loved ones who have passed and like how would you feel? Like would you be scared of them?
Um,
Or would you just be like, "Oh no, like because they're my loved ones, like I'm not scared. They're not just like any old ghost."
yeah, I think I would be less scared because it's like someone I know who I know is like a good person and who wouldn't hurt me, I guess.
What about like just like a random like relative that's convinced you that like they're related to you in some way?
What?
What if
What
you
does
saw
that
someone
mean?
like I don't know, like you know some
Like a stranger who's trying to tell me they're related to me?
yeah, but they're actually like related to you. You just like don't really know them because like they're in Cambodia or something. I don't know. Just like
Like a distant,
What
distant
do they
relative.
yeah, like
what
how would you feel about that?
what do they want me to do with that information?
Well,
Like, that's my question, respectfully.
this is the thing. And this is apparently a thing. Bori Julie, please confirm or disconfirm. But like when people die and like their 7 days pass or whatever, they can sometimes like but you'll stop some people and they deliberately
Mhm.
choose not to go to like their close relatives. I guess like either to not scare them or like to not make them think that they just dreamed about it and then like imagined it, but they go to like a
Mhm.
neighbor or like a distant relative and but you'll stop like explain in their dream that hey, I'd like to have this as part of my offering, or hey, I'm really hungry for
Wow.
jake, or something, can you tell the family that I want jake? I'm serious, I'm totally serious.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just add one more sense. Well, okay, I know we can like talk about this forever. Like, don't confirm or disconfirm. We'll just leave that to our viewers. Like, send us your stories, please, because I know some of you can corroborate this.
Yeah, I will not be reading the stories out of respect for my own sanity.
Julie.
Just kidding, just kidding. Okay, so that was our first episode. We hope that everyone enjoyed it. I don't know about you, but I experienced just the right amount of fear and confusing nostalgia.
And we would love to hear your scary stories or just feedback in general about how we did. So feel free to connect with us at Stilk My Podcast on Facebook, Insta, or other social media platforms. You can also email us at stilkmypodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the first of next month. Bye bye.
Bye!